Greetings, y'all. Six Flags America's opening day is upon us. So in the spirit of that, let's go ahead and rank all 9 roller coasters that exist currently at this park. Let's go ahead and start off with the obvious number 9 spot, and that is going to be the Great Chase. This ride is not dedicated to me, but is a great start for kids. Although a couple things to point out, the aesthetics of this thing are absolutely gorgeous. It's placed really nice with adjacent to the carousel, along with being next to trees. I also got to point out, I love the sign of this ride. I recently got a brand new sign and it looks great. But you can also tell that this is one of the earlier models from the Zamperla Kiddie Coaster, as there's some weird profiling moments on this ride that definitely have been fixed with earlier models of this ride. But still, great ride for kids. At number 8 is a roller coaster that would be higher up, but unfortunately with its condition, it is definitely on the lower spots, and that is Roar. Now, that's not to say, what I mean by its condition is it is definitely on the rougher side, especially if you do not sit in the front row. For me personally, the roughness is a little bit too much to enjoy, but there's still some good with this ride. The layout is very strong. There's some great moments of positive G's. There's also some great whip and great air time on this ride too that definitely flies you out of the seat. But what hinders this ride down, as mentioned, the roughness, and I also think the PTC trains do not help out as well. So one thing that could definitely help out the ride is having GCI come in, brand new Millennium Flyer trains. I'm genuinely surprised that the ones from Discovery Kingdom did not come to this park when that ride got turned into Joker. But then also have GCI come in and completely reprofile the track. I do believe, I heard that GCI did come in to reprofile the ride. I remember being on one of the posts recently from Six Flags America, but I don't know how much they're doing to the ride. If it did get fully reprofiled, I'm excited to ride it when I return to the park. But for now, for my recent rides on Roar, it definitely could use a full-on retrack. Not the worst ride out there, and it has a great layout, so obviously keep the ride. All it needs is just some TLC. Up next at number 7 is a great example of what happens when you give a roller coaster some needed TLC, and that is Skywinder. This recently got refreshed by the park and by Vekoma for the 2024 season, formerly known as Mind Eraser. I absolutely love what they did to this. First of all, aesthetically, looks much better. There's some great details. The paint scheme, while very similar to the old one, just has a richer color to it, and it looks great. I absolutely adore the red on the supports, great. But Vekoma came in and reprofiled some of the transitions and gave it the brand new generation trains, which, while for me with larger legs, definitely hinders the ride a little bit in terms of it gets tighter throughout the ride. That is more of a personal problem for me. But overall, the enhancement of the ride and the ride experience is so much better. You can now easily appreciate more of the positive G's and whippiness that is this ride because of the reprofiling and the new trend trains. It is still a Vekoma SLC, so it does have its limits, but overall, this is miles better than what it was prior to this experience. At number 6 is Ragin' Cajun. Huge disclaimer, if you do not like spinning rides, I heavily suggest avoiding this. Because my gosh, this is one of the most insane spinning moments on any roller coaster besides maybe Spider at Lagoon. Sweet mama, the spinning on this is absolutely insane. This is a Marachon spinning Wild Mouse. And so the first half is the Wild Mouse experience, and then the second half, it begins with the spinning. And I don't know what they do with this ride, but this thing just spins way more than any of the other kinds of rides that I've done exactly like this. It is absolutely insane with the unrelenting, out of control experience that I absolutely adore. But that's why I strongly recommend, if you do not like spinning coasters, to not ride this, because you are going to be in for the ride of your life. At number 5 is the smoothest B&M in all of Maryland. I still really love that meme. Firebird is a B&M floorless roller coaster. It used to be a stand-up roller coaster, and in my opinion, it gets some of the most undeserved hate and criticism from the coaster enthusiast community. It's just, yeah, it has some jolts. No dip, Sherlock. This is the first ever B&M roller coaster. What are you expecting? Like Fury 325 level smoothness? Dear gosh, I think this is just overly hated. Is there some jolts? Yes, as mentioned earlier, that is obvious. But I don't think it's as bad, especially if you brace for them, then you'll be fine. Also, I've noticed that the jolts are more noticeable in the front rows. The more back you go, the less noticeable it is. But overall, I enjoyed this ride. There were some great whip moments to it, and you can feel them especially in the back row. You can feel these whip moments on the drop after the first turnaround into the first helix, and then the whip moment right before the fire effect on the ride. So those are nice. I also do like the hang time that is experienced on the vertical loop. There's also some great positive G moments on this ride. So overall, it is a nice, solid ride that I think just gets way too much hate. I will say the TLC, which was much needed because the floorless trains are much, much better than the stand-up trains by a long shot. So I very much appreciate that they did that. But one unfortunate thing that happened when they did transition this into Firebird is all the theming and aesthetics that was with Apocalypse were removed except for the fire effect, which is quite unfortunate. It leaves a lot to be desired in my opinion. So hopefully in the near future they can add more to enhance that from what it was from Apocalypse to kind of tie into Firebird. But other than that, I think it was a big improvement to make this a floorless coaster. I also like this color scheme much more than the older color scheme. At number 4 is Joker's Jinx. This, in my opinion, is the smoothest roller coaster in the park. Absolutely glossy smooth, nice flow into all the transitions. Absolutely fun ride with a great punchy launch. I also like that it recently got recolored. There's also some great music in the station as well. Very, very fun ride. I will say something to take note of as well is for some reason this one feels slower than the other Premier Ride Spaghetti Bowl models. I'm not 100% sure why, but it just does, which makes, for me personally, the layout of the ride not as whippy, especially compared to the one at Kings Dominion. That one, for some reason, is just turned on steroids, and the first half of Flight of Fear is absolutely whippy, and this one doesn't have it too much. You definitely get some intense moments towards the end of the ride, but the first half definitely is not as intense, feels more graceful, which for some people, they may enjoy that much more, but for me, personally, just my thoughts, I kind of like the whippiness just a little bit more. But still, great, fantastic, fun ride. Also, as another note, these Premier Rides trains definitely are one of the more comfortable and some of my favorite Premier Rides trains. I think they're just larger. I can fit in them easier compared to some of the others. So these are personally my favorite Premier Rides trains that make the experience just that much more enjoyable. At number 3 is Batwing, the last remaining Vekoma Flying Dutchman roller coaster on Earth, and is one of the most unique roller coasters that you can ride. This ride for me, at one point I was not a fan, but as I get older for some reason, my rides get much more enjoyable, and I appreciate this ride much more the older I ride it. There is some uncomfortable moments with this ride, with the beginning lying down on the back and the very loud lift hill, but once the ride actually begins, this ride is a lot of fun. This ride is very, very intense. That will definitely press you against the vest restraints, but it is a lot of fun. I adore the vertical loop. It feels like a somersault. It does not feel the same compared to a pretzel loop, and I absolutely enjoy that moment. That is my favorite moment on the ride. There are also some great whip on the inline twist, along with the flips delay from facing down to facing up and lying on your back. So there's some great moments on this ride that is absolutely fun. So yeah, this is a great ride. The more I ride, the more I enjoy it. At number 2 is probably one of the greatest wooden roller coasters ever built, and probably would be even better if it got a full retrack, and that is the Wild One. So right off the bat, I'll just state, one of the hindrances to this ride is the fact that, like Roar, this is definitely not on the smoother side and definitely needs a bit of retrack, especially on the pullouts of this ride. I think Gravity Group coming in to give it the pre-cut track would be a perfect thing for this ride. Another thing is I wish that they would repaint the ride eventually. It was supposed to, but something happened and that it never got to it, so I hope that they can repaint it to make a great refresh to it. But all that aside, this ride lives up to this name. The name comes from the fact that this was the main roller coaster that was added when this park was called Wild World. That's why it's called the Wild One. But, I mean, what a more fitting name for an absolutely unrelenting, amazing experience with some of the most intense airtime moments on a roller coaster, period. Especially after the turnaround heading back to the station. That is some of the most insane airtime on a ride, period. But there's also some fantastic laterals on this thing, whether it be some of the twisted airtime hills or the final helix at the end of the ride that just throws you to your side. absolutely amazing. I love this ride so much. I always say that it feels like an RMC if it were built 100 years ago. It is incredible. One of my favorite rides, period, that will be enhanced even better if it were fully retracked. But other than that, yeah, this ride is amazing. Definitely one of the most slept on wooden roller coasters in my opinion. And that leads out with our number one, and that is Superman Ride of Steel. A ride that, like Firebird, in my opinion, gets a little bit too much criticism. So let's go ahead and get into it. The drop is really great. I love the first turn because you're just so close to the ground and it's pretty intense. But there is some fantastic airtime. The first hill's got some good floater, but then the hill after that has got some of the most strongest airtime on an intimate period. It is absolutely intense. And then that airtime finale, that is so good. That is a lot of fun. But then there's some great intense moments. I think the double helixes are great. I think they're definitely overlooked. The first double helix, I always gray out on it. And then the second double helix has so much strong laterals, I cannot keep my body straight. I'm always getting forced to the side on that portion of the ride. It is absolutely wonderful. And then the straight track, yes, it's there. But I think there's some cool moments with the straight track. One, I don't think it's boring. Two, what it does, it gives you the sense of speed as you are low to the ground, and there are trees next to you too, so you get some great near miss effects. And all this does is just enhance the intensity of how fast you are actually going. So I really like that portion of the ride. This ride is great. Definitely not one of the more smoother rides. It definitely has a bit of a rattle to it. But still a great, fantastic ride. And another ride also, a bunch of rides here like Batwing and Superman, you need to do at night, but this ride is very special at night. It is back into the woods, so you're away from the park, and so if you get a chance to ride this at night, which is mainly during Fright Fest, you need to do it. It is absolutely wonderful. But this is a fantastic ride and definitely the star attraction at Six Flags America. Very close though. Wild One is really close to it in my opinion. But that is my ranking of all 9 roller coasters at Six Flags America. What are your rankings of it? I would love to know in the comments down below. If you agree with me or disagree with me, go ahead and let me know in the comments as well. If you liked this video, made it all the way to the end, and you enjoyed yourself, go ahead and give that video a like button, as it helps my channel grow against the YouTube algorithm as I'm trying to continue to grow this channel out. If you've yet to hit subscribe, may consider hitting that subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. And maybe even if you still need to, hit that notification bell icon. That way you don't miss a video here on The Coaster Fanatic. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, Roller Coaster Fanatics, keep coasting.